All right. Mercy is a tough subject for little ones. It's actually a tough subject for all of us. Mercy is a challenging topic, I think, for a lot of us. And that's why the parable is so powerful in our Bible lesson. It's why it stood the test of time as something that's kind of central to Christian teaching, Christian values, mercy, taught there in the parable of the Good Samaritan. But we often think about the Good Samaritan idea as something that is as simple as what I was just teaching the children. We often think of it in terms of something that is just someone being kind to another person. Just someone being able to show compassion for someone who's someone maybe that they don't know. We even have laws that are written called the Good Samaritan laws and things of this sort that kind of center on that idea of just helping out people around us, generally speaking. But when we study this text a little more deeply, there's a lot more layers to this than just a simple act of kindness that we tend to think of when we think about being Good Samaritans. There's a lot more to this parable. So I thought about ways in which I might write a sermon or craft a way in which I could share with you the depth. And I could rattle on all the different layers that are in the Bible, but essentially there's more to this because of who the Samaritans and Jews were to each other. The Jews and Samaritans were not friendly at all. For generations, there was animosity. There was racism between them. The Jews would not go near Samaritans, and Samaritans would not go near Jews. They believed that the two of them were just unclean and unrepresenting of who they were as their own group. So when we layer in this sort of racial tension into the parable, now what the Good Samaritan is overcoming to help the man, and what the man is realizing when he comes to understand mercy in the end is a whole different thing than just the basic, simple kind of Good Samaritan stuff that we often think of. So I wrote a modern retelling of the Good Samaritan parable from the perspective of the wounded man. So I'm pushing my own creativity a little bit. So with much asking and begging for forgiveness, I'm going to read this sort of like a first-person monologue from the perspective of the wounded man in a modern retelling of the parable of the Good Samaritan. I remember the sound of the tires on gravel and the slam of the car door. Then darkness. They jumped me near the old gas station just off Highway 60. I was heading home from a rally in the city. White America First, our signs had read. I still had one in my back seat. My head was spinning, and my ribs felt like they were broken. They left me there to die. The first person to come by was a guy I recognized from church. He teaches Sunday school, wears a cross bigger than mine, talks all about good Christian values and purity laws. He saw me, slowed down, but then just kept on driving. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he thought the people that beat me up would come back to him. Maybe he thought I wasn't in such bad trouble. The next car that came by was one of those support our troops bumper sticker guys. Big pickup truck. Guy had a huge flag waving in the bed. I thought, surely this is one of my own. But he just slowed down, glanced at me, and kept on going as well. See what I get for assuming about other people. What do I know? I must have passed out about that time. Because when I woke up, the room was bright, too bright. Hospital machine was beeping. I was alive, bandaged, hooked up to tubes. A nurse told me someone found me and called 911, rode with me in the ambulance all the way to the hospital, even gave his name in case no one else came forward as a family or a friend. You're lucky, the nurse said. If he hadn't stopped, you would have bled out. I asked who it was. His name's Marcus, she said. He said he didn't know you, just couldn't leave you there. He came to visit me the next day. When he walked into my room, I couldn't believe it. Black guy, dreads, hoodie, the whole bit. Everything I was raised to stay away from, everything my parents told me never go near, everything that my church folks also say, be careful of. Everything I said we had to keep out, everything I had fought against, everything the rallies were for. I felt sick in my stomach, not from the pain, but from the shame of being rescued by him. I almost told him to leave. I could hardly look at him. My own pride, my upbringing, my entire worldview, all of that was shattering now in my mind, in my heart, by this man's act of kindness toward me. He just stood there quietly, then broke the silence. I didn't do it for thanks, he said. I just did what someone should have done. And then he added, I know what it's like to be left on the side of the road. That hit harder than any of the punches I took that night. Days passed. I thought about it over and over. How easy it had been for me to hate. How hard it must have been for him to help. He had every reason to leave me there, every reason to hate me back, but he didn't. When I was discharged, I asked if I could meet him one last time. We sat outside on a bench under the hospital's old maple tree. I didn't know how to start the conversation, so I just said, I wouldn't have stopped for you. He nodded. I know. I would have left you there. I would have said that you got what you deserved. He looked at me, not angry, not smug, just sad. And then I broke. I cried. For the first time in years, I cried. For the hate I carried around with me like a warm coat that I needed to discard, for the lies that I was believing for so long, for the way in which people, even at my church, had taken my religion and weaponized it against other people, for the man that I had become. I was so wrong for so long. And so I said that, and it was a whisper. I told him I was wrong. He put his hand on my shoulder. He said, we all get a chance to change. It's been a year now. I haven't gone back to the rallies. I burned that flag in my garage. The tattoos, I'm getting them removed one session at a time. People from my old world think I'm weak, call me a traitor. But I know better. I know that it was Christ who met me on that road that night. Not in the form of a preacher or politician, or even a friend from my church, but simply in the mercy of a man that I was taught to hate. And now I know. Mercy doesn't ask what color your skin is, or if you're a liberal or a conservative, or if you're gay or straight, or if you're Christian, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, or something else. Mercy stops. Mercy heals. Mercy helps. Mercy changes everything. Mercy makes neighbors. And see. The parable of the Good Samaritan is so much more than a parable of just being nice. It cuts through so much of the differences we share among so many other people in this world. Jesus points out to the lawyer. In the lawyer's question, who is my neighbor? He's digging for, can I just be neighborly to my group and let alone the others? And Jesus points out, no. Mercy changes everything. Mercy makes neighbors of the people that we tend to want to disconnect from. Every time we draw lines in the sand between our group and the others, we will find Jesus on the other side, inviting us to make neighbors of those too. The parable of the Good Samaritan also challenges us to ask ourselves, is there someone, some group, anyone from whom I would refuse help? And if so, the mercy of Christ opens us to begin to heal that wound. Because we too, sometimes, may need to be that person on the side of the road in order to know what it's like to truly heal from that. In the end of the day, we are all sinners. And one who showed mercy to the whole world comes to us and reminds us that it's His mercy that truly changes everything. It's His mercy on the cross, dying for us in our place, that reminds us that mercy has made a neighbor of us with God.